what is Bangalore's presence? What is the Bangalore that I inhabit in?
On an individual level, there is no such thing as a public. We have disenfranchised identities, we come from a different language base, we come from different geographies.
What constitutes public? So is Cubbon Park more public than Orion Mall or the railway station? How do we create discourse and develop this idea of public art? I don't know. Public art for me is extremely grey at this point, and I feel maybe that's good. Keep it grey.
Festival of Stories provides opportunities for all kinds of artists and designers who then look at this space through these lenses that public is a constructed identity, but essentially it is made up of all these different narratives that we are interpreting or consolidating as a public.
That became the point where we opened it up. So till then, the things that were happening at the station were all student projects, but during this 2-day period, we opened it up to the entire city.
I gave up making art objects and I started doing more as a public performances and interventions and talks. I am more in public spaces. I started seeing city as a space and the studio. So the ideas would come from the city, and that itself would be the site for my practice also. When I'm working with the young people, I always make sure that this works happens in public spaces in the city.
Most people who do catch the metro to Cubbon Park are coming for a walk in the park.
People from very varied parts of the city are able to come to the park, and the park is packed on Saturdays and Sundays.
It is transitory, and it comes, collects, moves on. And I find that very fascinating. It kind of captures the ephemeral nature of the arts.
When I moved to Bangalore from Bombay, I would encounter people, and everyone will have a story about Bangalore, which is very personal and which is very unique to Bangalore, which I have never encountered in any other metropolis of India.
Srishti, as an institution, we don't have a lot of students from Bangalore. When we were engaging with Bangalore-based artists, I think that was a really good mix, because you had like a really kind of eclectic group from all over the country.
We didn't try to make an exhaustive list of what we could showcase. We didn't borrow from contemporary ideas. This is how we showcase.
We need to figure out how we are much more conscious of the traditional public art practices and not just what one thinks about as contemporary public art practice.
And through this, what emerged as a form and aesthetics were murals, comics, virtual reality experiences, augmented reality experiences, film screenings, performances, walks, workshops, printmaking workshops, installations that were purely art and science and looking at live data and visualizing and sonifying live data.
My installation here is titled Whose Weather Is It Anyway? And it is talking about a parody between the economies of climate and the climate of economies, especially in between San Francisco and Bangalore. Both of them being Silicon Valley cities and great places to do business simply because of the weather. So there is an intellectual property regime that controls distribution and acquisition of this data, and looking at open data practices and how data narratives can be another form of storytelling.
For this festival, I'm curating a walk called Vachana walk. For me, that which is printed on the book is the beginning. The minute I perform, poem happens there in the air, It happens there in the space. A poem read 10 times can be 10 different poems. My connection with the Festival of Stories is to tell the story which is contemporary and also traditional.
At the Festival of Stories, I'm going to be performing Kugu, which is my solo piece that I've been performing for the last 3 years. It's a whole lot of things. It's text, it's movement, it's dance, it's poetry, it's music, sound, song, all of it. So, yeah, so it's difficult for me to peg it down into a jar or a label, say this is what Kugu is about. It's more of a experience, I would think.
We chose the platform as a site because the platform is a site of in-between where people wait to get to the next train or wait till they can get onto the stairs. And it became an ideal site for us to make it as a listening zone where people would stop and listen to stories. And the starting point for this was the Helava folktale about the founding of Bangalore, which then becomes the seed out of which other fictions arise. There's a wealth of information that we pass to each other through stories. And also storytelling is the most natural human form for us to talk to each other. That's where the work comes from.
We are writing a lot of stories. We are developing different worlds within the metro station, and this will also include performances and people walking about through the station in different costumes. All will become part of a large weird fiction project. So what we are trying to do is create disjointed pieces all over the station where people can make a narrative out of things that's going on.
What is the Bangalore after the festival? What is the city that we leave behind post the festival? And that, for me, means a critical mass of practitioners or artists or aesthetes or poets who are coming out into public spaces and claiming public spaces.
We want to create a fluidity of public art practice in Bangalore, get people used to it, artists used to it, the government used to it.
I was wondering how it's all going to come in. And I'm saying, okay, wow, there's a strong idea here. My only wish is that it can be sustained. Then it grows.
I feel the Festival of Stories is opening up more boxes of stories.
For me, Festival of Stories is an avenue for creating and mediating conversations.
The Festival of Stories is a coming together to celebrate the arts, to celebrate life itself.
You know, we always talk about the artist in the city, or the designer in the city. We want to sort of turn it on its head through the Festival of Stories and talk about the city inside the artist.
Festival of Stories is a celebration, it is an expression, and it is a provocation.